Next on KPBS Evening Edition, sexual abuse allegations against a former local priest. Multiple men file suit against the Catholic Diocese of San Diego. We hear their stories. Plus, happening now, the debate to impeach the president officially underway. What we can expect before the full vote. And the baseball world comes to San Diego. From game changes to jobs, a look at what's going on at the Major League Winter Meetings. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. It's Wednesday, December 11th. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. New victims, new allegations being made tonight against yet another local priest. He may have died, but the men stepping forward say they're still living with the memories of the sexual abuse, and they'll be suing the Roman Catholic Diocese of San Diego because of it. More now from KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar.
4 new victims came forward today and are able to sue the diocese for negligence because of a new California law that expands the statute of limitations for victims of childhood sexual assault. Beginning January 1st, 2020, victims have a period of 3 years where they can bring forward claims. The 4 victims say Father Anthony Edward Rodrigue sexually assaulted them when they were children attending parishes in the San Diego Diocese in the 1960s and 70s.
Us as little kids, we thought, well, he's just being affectionate, until he took us to his room in El Centro and did what he did. That just destroyed my whole life. I couldn't believe that God would let something like this happen.
California lawmakers opened a similar 1-year window for childhood sexual assault victims in 2003. 1,000 victims across California filed 140 civil lawsuits that resulted in $1 billion settlement. The Catholic Diocese of San Diego ultimately filed for bankruptcy. Erwin Zalkin, who is representing the 4 new victims, say they've been looking for justice for over a decade.
They both had tried earlier, but they missed the 2003 window. So they've been clients of ours for years. And we've been working on trying to get legislation passed for years.
Rodrigue was an ordained priest for almost 30 years. He served 10 years in prison for molesting a developmentally disabled boy. He has since passed away.
This is a person that was employed by the church. He abused his position, took advantage of people. You know, I was probably 3-4 foot tall. You're looking at a guy that was over, I don't know, 6 feet. Very methodical in how he did things. It is an embarrassment to be here saying this. It's nothing to be proud of. But I've dealt with it long enough.
Zalkin and the victims say they hope more victims will use the new law to come forward. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
And KPBS reached out to a spokesperson from the Catholic Diocese in San Diego who said in part, no amount of money can make up for the evil done to victims of priestly sex abuse. However, the San Diego Diocese continues to work diligently to support the victim survivors and to prevent such crimes from ever occurring again. Happening right now on Capitol Hill, the House Judiciary Committee is debating 2 articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump, abuse of power and obstruction of justice. Lawmakers will be at it for hours, well into the night, setting the stage for a historic House floor vote and Senate trial. Suzanne Malveaux tells us what to expect.
The House Judiciary Committee will begin formal discussions on the articles of impeachment tonight, just 1 day after making this historic announcement.
The House Committee on the Judiciary is introducing 2 articles of impeachment charging the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, with committing high crimes and misdemeanors.
In their first article, House Democrats charging President Trump with abuse of power, saying that he solicited the interference of a foreign government, Ukraine, to publicly announce investigations that would benefit his re-election.
It is an impeachable offense.
The second article, obstruction of Congress, where they allege the president directed the unprecedented, categorical, and indiscriminate defiance of subpoenas of top White House officials.
I wish the president's actions did not make it necessary. If we did not hold him accountable, he would continue to undermine our election.
The committee will officially start considering amendments to the articles tomorrow morning, setting the stage for a possible floor vote by the full House next week. President Trump lashing out against Democrats, downplaying the historic nature of impeachment.
All of these horrible things, remember? Bribery and this and that. Where are they? They send these two things. They're not even a crime. This is the lightest, weakest impeachment.
But Democrats insisting they are acting on their oath.
The argument, why don't you just wait, amounts to this. Why don't you just let him cheat in one more election? Why not let him cheat just one more time?
Meantime, a divide widening between Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Trump over the likely Senate trial, sources tell CNN. McConnell hoping to keep impeachment short and simple, but the president wants a political spectacle in an effort to hurt Democrats' chances at the ballot box in November, two people familiar with Trump's thinking say. In a trial, President Trump wants to call Hunter Biden, House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff, and the whistleblower, the sources report. Trump also lied at last night's rally, once again insisting his campaign was spied on by the FBI, which was debunked by the Justice Department's IG report earlier this week.
And that was Suzanne Malveaux reporting. Meanwhile, perhaps a little bit of Christmas spirit is swirling around Washington, D.C. Democratic leaders and the White House were able to see eye to eye on the USMCA trade deal. John Lawrence explains what the U.S., Canada, and Mexico agreement means.
President Trump is close to achieving a major legislative win.
Congress will soon vote on my new trade deal, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, or USMCA.
The president tweeted that it's the best and most important trade deal ever made by the USA, a step up from its predecessor, the North American Free Trade Agreement.
There is no question, of course, that this trade agreement is much better than NAFTA.
So what does the USMCA bring and how is it different from NAFTA? First, a boost to the auto industry. It mandates more vehicle parts to be made in the three countries in the deal for manufacturers to avoid tariffs. And according to the International Trade Commission, the USMCA will create more auto industry jobs. Labor laws will also be strengthened, a move AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka applauds. And another change is the removal of controversial protections for biologic drugs.
This is a transformative agreement. It's a template, I believe, for future agreements.
He said Democrats plan to hold a vote on the USMCA in the House next week, but the impeachment process will likely prevent the Senate from getting to it quickly.
That'll have to come up, in all likelihood, right after the trial is finished in the Senate.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
And with the trade deal is reportedly coming some $300 million to combat Tijuana sewage spills. Representative Scott Peters and the San Diego congressional delegation helped secure the funding, $75 million installments over 4 years. This effort comes as the Port of San Diego today adopted a joint resolution calling for the federal government to eliminate sewage flows from Mexico. In recent days, other local agencies and councils have joined in the federal call for action. The Trump administration's plan to build a border wall just took a hit. A federal judge in Texas blocked the use of military construction funds for the project. In September, Defense Secretary Mark Esper authorized diverting $3.6 billion to finance 11 wall projects on the southern border. The Pentagon funds were in addition to the $1.3 billion allotted to the project by Congress. President Trump declared a national emergency to access the extra cash. That prompted a lawsuit claiming Trump overstepped his authority. A new report is shining the spotlight on the treatment of migrants in the hours and days after they're caught crossing the border. Among the findings, physical and verbal abuse, inadequate facilities, and food. More now from KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler.
In October of last year, Immigration and Customs Enforcement ended a program that allowed migrants to contact family and arrange for travel when they were released from detention. In response, local organizations in San Diego set up a series of shelters to give people a place to stay while they figured out their next steps. It also gave researchers from the American Civil Liberties Union and San Diego State University a chance to find out firsthand what asylum seekers had gone through, from crossing the border to their time in Border Patrol custody. Dr. Jill Esbenshade is a co-author of the resulting report, which highlights mistreatment that migrants faced while in detention.
50% of people said that they suffered some abuse at the hands of Border Patrol agents directly.
This included both verbal and physical abuse. 15% of the abuse was physical, the study found. Migrants also reported incredibly low temperatures in the detention centers and inadequate food. One mother described being fed one cookie and one thin burrito once a day, and another pregnant woman said she lost 15 pounds while in detention. The study found that Border Patrol was not in compliance with its own standards for its treatment of detainees, especially when it came to medical care.
They say, for example, that everybody should have a medical screening. That, as far as we could tell, did not happen, at least not by medical personnel. So 2/3 of adults were never screened by medical personnel, and 43% of children never saw medical personnel.
The study surveyed 350 adults between February and April of this year at the height of border apprehensions in the San Diego sector. During that time, migrants spent days and sometimes weeks in detention centers that were only meant to hold people for up to 72 hours. A spokesperson for Customs and Border Protection told KPBS that it treats those in our custody with dignity and respect and provides multiple avenues to report any misconduct, and that they take all allegations seriously and investigate all formal complaints. The report concludes with a series of recommendations for the agency and for the county, which continues to provide support for migrants even as the number of migrants being released into San Diego has dropped. Local recommendations include providing more services for migrants and making the existing migrant shelter permanent. Federally, the report recommends that the agency stick to the promises it's already made.
And they are not treating people with dignity and respect. And so we would ask that they comply with their own standards.
Max Rivlin-Adler, KPBS News.
Poway restaurant owners who lost business due to the week-long water contamination problem are getting a break. County supervisors today voted to waive a $459 health permit fee and reimburse the cost for those who already received a modified health permit. The waiver will cost the county between $16,000 and $25,000. The city of Poway is also kicking off a restaurant month and encouraging people to dine and tip well to help make up the huge losses incurred. Lawmakers grill the head of Federal Aviation Administration and two whistleblowers over what they knew about the safety of Boeing 737 MAX planes. A bombshell report released this week shows the agency predicted the planes would likely crash more than other planes. Within 6 months, 346 people died in two crashes. Nadia Romero tells us what we know now.
The cleanup after an Ethiopian Airlines crash in March, killing 157 people. Days later, the FAA finally grounded all Boeing 737 MAX planes. But could it have been prevented?
The potential of my sister and 156 others driven straight into the ground because of Boeing's greed.
The Ethiopian Airlines crash followed a Lion Air crash that killed 189 people, happening less than 6 months before. Pulled from the Java Sea, only shoes and pieces of their luggage for their loved ones to claim. But just this week, we're learning an FAA analysis after the first crash showed the plane was significantly more likely to crash than other aircrafts. The agency predicted there would be more than 15 additional fatal crashes over the plane's lifetime, and still, the plane was not grounded.
737 factory was in chaos.
Two whistleblowers, including a former Boeing employee, say they raised concerns about the safety of the planes. Wednesday, the House Transportation Committee grilled the director of the FAA and the whistleblowers.
A broken safety culture within Boeing and an FAA that was unknowing, unable, or unwilling to step up.
Was this an acceptable risk, though?
It is not an acceptable risk. We need to take action to be able to reduce that risk.
All while family members of victims of the crashes held large pictures to remind everyone of the human toll. In Washington, I'm Nadia Romero.
It's an important issue, especially in a military town like San Diego, and tonight a town hall meeting will take place to discuss veterans' health care. Spokespeople from veterans groups along with registered nurses will educate the public on the current attacks they say the VA healthcare system is coming under. They'll also discuss ways to call on Congress to protect the VA from privatization efforts and to fully staff and fund it to provide the highest quality care for our vets. The town hall takes place from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Machinists Union Hall on Kearny Mesa Road. The La Bodega Art Gallery in Barrio Logan will be closing its doors at the end of the month. The owners say the rent is too high. KPBS video journalist Andy Duckleth tells us how the gallery helped create a thriving space for the community to gather.
Aubrey Wood enters her studio in La Bodega Art Gallery. She paints portraits, and there isn't anything else she'd rather do.
This is what makes me happy, so this is, what I am going to do.
Her studio is small, and she's grateful to have it.
When I was looking for a studio, nothing else was affordable for me, so this is what I found. And it's been, it's been a godsend. I really can't afford a studio space anywhere else.
That was the vision of the gallery when it opened 6 years ago, to foster a community of creative expression by providing affordable spaces to local artists. But as more businesses come to Barrio Logan, renters like La Bodega Gallery owners Sony Lopez Chavez and her husband Chris Zertuche say that they're being priced out of the neighborhood.
It's just shocking. It's shocking that it's always the art spaces that go first.
Lopez Chavez says they were attracted to the space because of Barrio Logan's rich cultural history.
We came here to this space 6 years ago, and when we came here, there were no other active businesses on the block. We opened and we received a ton of support. A lot of our friends started to open up little businesses on Logan Avenue, and this area just flourished.
And it shows. On a Friday afternoon, couples stroll and friends have lunch at the neighboring businesses. It's notoriety like that landed them a spot in American Airlines magazine. It was their collaboration with other local businesses that cemented their legacy.
We work together to throw events together. We really support one another, and we're not greedy. Our success can be everybody else's success.
People in the community are helping La Bodega find another home. They've started a Change.org petition, but have donated thousands to GoFundMe. Their last show, aptly named The Last Saga, will be on December 14th. They officially close their doors on the 31st. In Barrio Logan, Andy Duckleth, KPBS News.
The spotlight is shining on San Diego as the Major League Baseball Winter Meetings take place here. From big-name players in town to Hall of Famers to job fairs and all things baseball, it's been quite the event. Here's KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman.
It's augmented reality, first of its kind, where we gather the information coming in and the analytics going out.
Designed by Home Run Zone, this system can be used for fun and for training.
We can simulate it to throw from a pitcher we may be facing that Friday night. We get a spin rate and plug it into the system, and it's almost recreating what we'd be facing. We've saturated the Korean market in the last 2.5 years, so now it's our time to bring it over to the States.
There was a lot on display at the baseball trade show inside the convention center. This is where both minor and major league teams from around the country come to buy swag and invest in stadium upgrades. Imagine using these seats, which are supposed to breathe and be cooler than regular ones. There were also a number of companies looking to improve the fan experience by delivering food right to their seat.
I would say mobile ordering is definitely very prominent just in the U.S. in general. I mean, we can see like Grubhub, Starbucks, everybody's on their phone, always ordering something. In terms of the sports world, it's definitely a little bit behind in that sense.
Using an app, people can order food and even beer with a valid ID. Fan Food is hoping the idea is a hit with sports fans. They're looking to expand the company quickly.
So right now we're at 65 venues across the U.S. So the hope is that by next year we'll be at 1,000.
Fan Food says data shows people using their app are spending more money on food and drinks, with an average order reaching around $22. Delivery time takes around 10 minutes. And for those worrying about delivery fees, the company says the extra cost is usually just around $1. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
It definitely feels like the holidays in San Diego. It's cool and very dry, but warmer weather is on the way. Meteorologist Marvin Gomez tells us how the rest of the week is shaping up.
Happy Wednesday, everyone, and thank you for staying with us here on KPBS News. I'm AccuWeather's Marvin Gomez, and here are some of the weather highlights that I have for you. Heading into Thursday and Friday, definitely the warmest days out of the next couple of days. And heading into the weekend, we are going to have a trough moving across the region, and that's going to be bringing some windy conditions across the deserts and also in the higher elevations. Also, we are going to be dealing with some high surf conditions at the beaches, so definitely we are going to have the risk for rip currents out there. Looking at our satellite and radar image in the last couple of hours, we could see some of those high clouds that were pressing through earlier through the day. And looking at the big picture, notice how throughout much of Southern California, we're staying dry, but we do have some moisture coming into Northern California, and that's mainly impacting people over in the northwestern part of the nation. As we head into tonight here at home, we are going to have a couple of clouds, but we're able to see the moon tonight for the most part. 51 degrees will be the lowest point tonight here across the metro area. Looking at the rest of San Diego County, temperatures are going to be on the chilly side. We're looking at 45 degrees across Escondido. Heading into Ramona, 40 degrees, and even colder across Mount Laguna, 38 with mostly clear conditions for tonight. Here's your AccuWeather Futurecast. Notice how as we head into the weekend, we're still under the influence of a high pressure system. That means it's going to stay dry and sunny for the most part as we head into the next couple of days. For our Thursday, much of the southwest continues with that dry weather in place. Definitely light winds for much of the region, and like I said previously, some of those winds will be picking up in a few locations as we head into the weekend. San Diego County heading into our Thursday, notice how plenty of sunshine will be with us. Temperatures will be near 72 across Borrego Springs, and along the coast in San Diego, we're looking at a temperature of 69. Oceanside close to 70 degrees as well. It is going to stay dry for everyone out there. Here is your AccuWeather forecast for the coast. Notice how temperatures will be close to 70 degrees tomorrow and also into our Friday, and then we got a somewhat of a cool down as we head into the weekend with that trough that's going to be coming in, and that's going to be the setup also across inland areas. Mid-70s heading into Friday, and then we will see temperatures in the low 60s as the high heading into our Sunday. Looking across the mountains, 58 for Thursday, 61 on Friday, and then we're dipping down into the mid-50s as we head into Thursday, and even upper 40s for our Sunday. So Sunday, definitely perhaps one of the most chilliest days for the next couple of days here throughout the region. You're looking at 72 for Thursday, 73, heading into Friday with mostly sunny conditions. A beautiful day out there. That's all on my end. Thanks for staying with us here on KPBS News. Back to you.
If you reach for a snack while guzzling a beer or sipping a glass of wine, you are not alone. But why is it that the more you drink, the more you eat? Reed Binion takes a look in today's Health Minute.
We've all heard marijuana gives you the munchies, but for many of us, the same is true when we drink alcohol. Cheese and wine, tacos and tequila, shots and tots, these things just go together. But what is it about drinking alcohol that makes us want to reach for the fridge? There could be two explanations. The simplest is this: alcohol is known to lower inhibitions and cloud judgment. So when we're drinking, we may not think twice about ordering that pizza at 2 a.m. or not be worried about whether or not a salad is a healthier choice. Another reason, evidence shows that alcohol messes with the effects of leptin, the hormone that tells us when we're full. Some studies showed it didn't just quiet the signals of leptin, but actually may stimulate signals in the brain telling us we're starving. So how do we walk away from wine night without eating too much? Make sure you're having a balanced meal when you drink, including whole grains, healthy fats, and proteins. Put away the pizza rolls and candy. Have healthier snacks like chopped veggies and popcorn available. And whenever you drink, make sure to stay hydrated. For today's Health Minute, I'm Reed Binion.
Some great advice there. Now, employees at a company in Maryland got a large surprise for their holiday bonus, and a backpack probably just saved a man's life. Jeremy Roth brings you those stories in today's Take a Look at This.
'Tis the season of generosity, and clearly some are taking that to heart more than others. Like commercial real estate chairman Edward St. John. At his company's holiday party this year, he wasn't just handing out free champagne, but big bonuses.
You're all participating in a bonus based on the number of years of $10 million.
With about 200 employees, that works out to an average of $50,000 per person.
It is life-changing. That is so generous.
This is separate from their annual bonuses, and I will be submitting an application to work there next week. What started out as a perfect day to hit the slopes quickly took a turn. Ed Salison was snowboarding in Hatcher Pass, Alaska, when he found himself in the middle of an avalanche. The moment could have ended badly if Salison wasn't prepared for this exact thing with his high-tech backpack. The Avi bag comes equipped with an inflatable raft that keeps the rider on top of the snow. And luckily for Salison, it did just that, allowing him to escape safely. And finally, Las Vegas is known for their elaborate shows, but elaborate pigeons? Some of the birds have been seen around town wearing tiny cowboy hats. No word on how this happened or who was responsible. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.